created the earth too. In the beginning, before there was anything, there were the world and the people as always, and everything was pretty much as it is today, except that all the people did was work, and everything they made was perfect. And that brings us to the topic today of MBTI and socionics. Well, which one's better and why? Are they actually different? What's the deal? What's up with those Russians? Can we trust them? They're a bunch of commies. Well, the answer is regarding socionics and MBTI, what's the difference? Well, nothing really. That's the thing that people don't get, is there really isn't any difference. The difference is in socionics attempting to make things more mathematically symmetrical than MBTI does. And the main part of socionics that I'm curious about and I'm interested in is the intertype relationships, which I think they do. I think they've nailed it on those. I think they've got it exactly right. That if you read intertype relationship stuff, you will determine that socionics will tell you, well, you're going to have conflict with this type because of blah, and that granted, all these sort of things when I'm using my own experience as data, my own SI experience as data to reference the socionics ideas against, they're subject to they're extremely subject to confirmation bias. So obviously I'm looking for ways in which this ISFJ is consistent with the socionics understanding of duality. But at the same time, I think it's worth pointing out, when I initially got with her, I thought she was an ESFJ. And so I was rejecting the notion that I should get my dual. But the thing is, even if it is subject to confirmation bias when you're dealing with your own shit,
hard not to. It's difficult not to succumb to confirmation bias.
well,
I find.
having sort of dated an INFP before and also dated briefly an ISFP before getting with this ISFJ, I can tell you with the FI DOM, as socionics indicates, with an INFP, I felt constantly supervised. And I felt like I was constantly not getting it in her eyes. Because, of course, I've got FI polar and she's an FI dom. I'm just not getting it. I'm not getting the fact that relationships take time. I'm not getting the fact that feelings grow over time. I'm not getting the fact that that my feelings persist even when I'm not with you. I'm not getting any of it, Eric. You're not getting it. Okay, well, that's being supervised by a supervisor who's got your polar in their dominant slot and the same action function.
You're right back. My brother needs his meds.
Word. So it's like INFP, they believe in taking metaphysical action, just like ENTP, great. They're not SE people, great. But they take that metaphysical action on their introverted feelings and the valuing process and the building of relationships and stuff. And so they're going to run afoul of the ENTP all the time. And the ENTP is going to feel like the one who's doing shit wrong. Because in contrast, they've got TI in the 8th slot, where it's a loose cannon function. It's effective, like my SE is, sort of. INFPs can be really, really bright and good at TI. They just don't use that evaluatory metric when people care about something. So if it's important to them, it's important because there's a lot of inverted feeling about it. And in that case, they think TI is more or less evil, in the same way that I tend to think SE is evil, because I see it as barbaric and forcing action where deliberation and conclusions would have been adequate. So that's why INFP and ENTP don't get along well, and it's as predicted in my interpretation of things. Now, ISFP and I got along a lot better, but there was no depth to it. That was a friends with benefits relationship I could have sustained indefinitely had she been around to allow me to sustain it indefinitely, but she ended up getting with some guy exclusively shortly after we began our friends with benefits relationship. She was super sexy. I loved having sexual intercourse with her, and it was fun, and we got along fine. But I also knew that I'd never be with her. I couldn't possibly be with her exclusively because she didn't. We didn't have anything. We didn't have any common ground. When she talked about shit she liked, she said things like, "I like it when the wind blows over the water and it makes those little ripples." Well, great, sweetie. And what does that mean? It means I like it. Good for you. Let's go take your clothes off now. I mean, she was great. She's nice. Kapia's great. But fuck no. Fuck no ever. We're conflicting types, which means not that we're engaged in conflict, but that we have absolutely no common ground. And we didn't, but, well, we had one common ground, which was, and even that was uncommon in the sense that we had different genitals, so I don't know why she decided to have sex with me. I was very flattered by it, and I appreciated the opportunity to have sex with her, and so I did. And it's like, that's not me, right? I don't normally like casual sex, but because to me, I was just like, God, this girl's dumb. It made it totally okay in the sense like, oh, it doesn't matter. All these words I affix to shit. Like, well, but if this happens, what does it mean? Like, what does it say about my identity? What does it say about your identity? What does it say about the nature of human interactions? What does it say about what we ought to do? What does it say about what we ought not to do? All those sort of questions just erupt when I have sexual intercourse with somebody. They didn't really with her though. After we were done, she said, "High five!" I swear to God. She said, "High five." And I'm like, "Thanks, Capio. Wow, that was nice of you to high five me." You know? What did it mean? It means she got off. That's all it meant. It means she got off and she credited me for it somehow. To give me a high five. Well, that's easy. I understand that. But I don't want to be with that. Because it's too SE. It's just fucking like, oh, for the love of God, who cares that it's pretty when the sun hits the thing? Who the fuck cares? It doesn't matter. You know? Oh, I like it because it's pretty when I see sights that are pretty. Well, that's fine, but it's not worth talking about. Thank you, darling.
I want you to eat more than a muffin.
You need to eat more than a muffin, she says. Can I eat this sausage?
Well, I was going to make you a little sandwich.
Can I eat it like this?
Yeah.
Thank you. Mmm. Orange juice, too. Good job, baby. You get yourself a plate, too?
I have like a little omelet thing.
So, ISFJ. Yeah. INFP. Yeah. ISFP. Yeah. I'd rather have this. For sure. That's what I need. I don't need this. This is nice, but I don't need that either.
This is not going to feed you.
Right. And the key point being, like, Kimberly looked actually a little bit mad at me for not having eaten enough earlier. I was like, she actually cares. She's not just like, okay, that's right, I'm supposed to feed Eric. I never said you're supposed to feed Eric. Okay. It's naturally her way.
Or maybe it's like, I don't want him to get hangry later because
That's
he didn't
fine
eat
too.
enough.
That's good SI. To be aware of the fact that if he doesn't eat now, he'll be hungry later and therefore hangry. I'm not aware of that. It doesn't occur to me how I'm going to feel later when I don't eat right now. It never occurs to me because that's better SI than I have. I don't keep track of how my body's going to feel later, except in one area. I do keep track of whether or not I'm going to have any speed for a given, if I need it for something. Like, oh shit, I got to do blah on Saturday. I need to at least save 2 of these because otherwise it's going to be fucking torture. That I can do. Kimberly, FYI, checkout time's 11, so we should probably start packing up to go around 10. Take a shower. You got about an hour.
I'm taking another shower.
I know, but I'm saying you should do that in an hour at the latest. You have an hour to just lie around before we need to do anything. The checkout's 11, not 10.
Video?
Oh yeah, we're making a video.
Yeah, the video.
Best goddamn video ever. What was it about again?
So what time is it? It's almost 9.
Yeah.
I forgot.
Oh, so I have an hour before I have to start getting ready.
Right.
Okay, perfect.
I like how I'm out of a job now, since Suze came around.
You're out of a job? What's
No,
your job?
apparently you are not, because I also forgot what it was about.
Well, no, I mean, I used to be the one, like, Eric, you're still recording. And he's like, oh, yes.
Well,
Why
Ken-
did you stop doing that?
Yeah,
'Cause
now,
you
Ken,
started?
You're the guy who contrasts himself against Susie. That's an important job too.
Yeah.
Okay, so this video was about
Socionics and MBTI, apparently.
right. Socionics and MBTI. Good job, Ken. So you still have a job.
It's the chat
They're
people.
not. They're really not different. Okay, understand that cognitive functions are a way of dividing all of human conscious experience into values that explain behaviors or manners of attention that explain behavior. Now, neither MBTI nor Socionics got it right, but it's more right than nothing. Who got it right? Well, that would be me, host Eric. The one true and perfect vision of cognitive functions that explains everything for everybody.
I'm feeling nauseated.
I don't think that was in response to what I was saying, but it might have been.
It was.
Oh, it was? Okay.
I didn't hear what she said.
She said that my self-aggrandizement made her feel nauseated.
Good job, Kimberly.
But that's the point. Is it's not even self-aggrandizement. It's kind of joking, except for the fact that nobody can counter any of these claims. I mean, the thing is, I keep throwing it out there. Nobody tells me why I'm wrong or that I am wrong. The only one who tries is casual INTP, and he keeps failing.
It's more fun when Kimberly does it.
Right. Well, because Kimberly doesn't care if it's right or wrong. It's just nauseating because she's an FI second function. FE second function is nauseating because it's poor FE on my part, right? That is not the way to manage perceptions, is to be arrogant and boastful and stuff. But in my case, it's a little different. Because it's not exactly that. It's more like it's kind of a silly joke in a way, but except for the fact that it's true. I don't know. I don't give a fuck. It's like I don't care if I'm not trying to get credit for anything. I'm just saying this is where they're wrong. And nobody can dispute what I'm saying, so I don't know what to do about that. It's just, well, I guess I'm right.
So we're on the video?
Yeah. Thanks, Ken. Ken, why
Don't forget to
why don't you say
eat
the goodbye
plenty
line
of
for us?
cheese.
Ken, can you say the goodbye line for us?
Yeah. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to eat plenty of cheese.